Hey guys, so today we have this. It's a Yard King lawnmower by Briggs and Stratton. It's pretty interesting to see that this is actually a Briggs and Stratton model of lawnmower. Comes with electric start and rear wheel drive. Plus, the other nice thing, it has a one lever up and down for all four wheels on this lawnmower. Issue with it though, it doesn't start. Or I should say, it starts, but it doesn't keep running. And it only starts as long as you give it fuel. If you don't give it any fuel, it won't start no matter how hard you try. Which means that chances are that carburetor needs some cleaning out. So let's get into it, clean that carburetor out, see if we can't get it going. Doesn't seem to have any fuel in it, which is good, but you can smell that there was definitely some stale fuel left in there. Oil-wise, oil's still relatively clear, has some good viscosity to it, so it shows that it was relatively taken care of. Either way though, we're still going to give it an oil change and get it ready for the season coming up. So let's crack into this beast, see if we can get her going again, and have it ready for when springtime rolls around and that grass starts growing. Alright guys, let's crack into it. Okay, so let's get into this carb. 5/16. Yeah, that air filter is going to need replacing. It's supposed to be cutting down grass, not transporting dandelions. All right, two more 5/16 here. And one more up here. In behind, there's a little breather tube. Just have to disconnect that. And that leaves us with the carburetor. There we go. I want to break this. See if we can gently ease it off. Come on. Come on. Looking like I'm going to have to make a new gasket for that. That's unfortunate. What a pain in the butt. It looks like 2 3/8 to take these off. Or you can use looks like Torx 27. See if I have a Torx 27. Okay, so Torx 25, or is it Torx 27? I think it might be Torx 27, not Torx 25, but 25 sort of fits. Let's see, will it come out? Yep. 27 would have been a better fit. That's for certain. All right, now we saw there was no fuel in the tank. Let's get the fuel line off. Oh, it looks like there was still some fuel in the tank. Plug that, let it stay elevated. So hopefully that'll help keep any fuel from leaking out, which means there'll be fuel in the bottom of the carburetor. Right, so let's crack this open. Looks like a 1/2 inch. Let me see if there's any water in this carburetor. And if not, then definitely would be the curse of the old fuel that got to this one. All right, let's crack into the carburetor. See if we can't get this thing running again. Okay, so 1/2 inch. Yep, there was water in there. 100%. Yeah, look at that. Look at all that gel in there. That's all water now. Yeah, look at this gel. It's terrible. Yeah, that's why this mower wasn't running. Old fuel indeed. All right, this doesn't look too bad. Let me see if I have the Tecumseh tool. I'm not sure exactly what I did with my Tecumseh tool, so I'll use the next best thing. Or maybe I won't be able to get it out this way. Nope. Let me try again. There it is. Got it out. Not in the best of shape anymore. Probably wasn't in the best of shape before. That's fine. I have more to replace that one. Okay. Take off the gasket maybe. There we go. Thank you, Yellow. Job well done. There we go. Put that gasket aside. Throttle plate opens and closes easily. So some jets to pick out. But let's put this through the ultrasonic cleaner first, and then we'll see how it comes out after that. We'll pick out the jets with some welding tip cleaners, pop it back on the mower, see if it'll start up. Right, so let's quickly get this into the ultrasonic, get it all cleaned up. Clean out this main jet because it's gummed up pretty bad. All right, let me get this into the ultrasonic. See you guys shortly. Okay, so carburetor came out pretty good in the ultrasonic. Bowl's pretty clean. Looks like someone said scratched at here before. That's bizarre. It's actually quite surprising. I'm actually really surprised that I'm not the first one that's gone into this curb. Someone's definitely been here before, so this must not be the first time that this has happened. Let's get the gasket back on. And now a new needle seat with corresponding part number right here. I'm just going to give a spritz of WD-40 in there, just to make it a bit easier to go in. I'm not sure what happened to the cap to that one. So when putting to editor, remember to zoom in. Okay, good. Nice zooming job. So when you put this in, this ridge that's here, that needs to face into the carburetor. This side should be facing the needle. Now you can use a Tecumseh tool, or you can just use another apparatus to push it in. Now we reattach the needle to the float and drop it. We reattach the needle to the float. And in it goes. There we go. Much better. Made a new gasket for this. Includes the punch outs, of course, and the breather hole. That's for the primer. Okay, so let's pick out the main jet. Hey, look at that, guys. Look what I found. A red subscribe button. If you made it this far into the video, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up. Comment below. I love to read your comments, and I try to reply to as many of them as I can, especially the early ones. All right, guys, back to the video. I picked this one. I think this looks like a good main jet. Let's get one of these needles. These are torch tip cleaners. I'm just trying to find the largest one that fits, just fits. Let's try this one. Yeah, it has some gunk in it. I'll spray it out with some carb cleaner. Now I'll poke around in the carburetor a little bit. That's terrible what's coming out of there. Give it a couple blasts with carb clean. And we'll poke it out a bit more. One more spritz of carb clean. Couple more jets to quickly go through. Oh, need a smaller one than that. There it is. And nothing on this side. Okay. Let that dry for a few minutes. All right, so let's quickly spray out the bowl. Okay, so the bowl's looking better. Sort of. Shiny, at least. Shiny. Okay, so let's get the bowl nut on. The gasket's still there. 1/2 inch. Right, so let's get this onto the engine. Okay, so let's get this carburetor back on. Gasket on. 2 bolts. And these are actually Torx 30, not Torx 27. I thought they were Torx 27, and yet they came off with a Torx 25. So strange. And gotta get the carburetor reattached to the governor. First bolt. There we go. Second bolt's going in. Just quickly drive it in the rest of the way. Already drained out the remaining fuel that was in the tank. I drained out the remaining fuel that was in the tank, and I'm not sure how well you can see that. But yeah, there's a pretty good water line there. It's really clear now, so I think this fuel is perfectly fine. So I'm just going to siphon the water out and reuse this fuel for testing. What the heck, why not? Pop the fuel line back on. Oh my goodness. All right, next let's get air cleaner box. So don't forget the tube in the back. Okay, now this is just 3 5/16 bolts. And then, of course, the nice new air filter and part number. I pulled the battery, and as expected, it's dead. It's completely dead. So it will require replacement. Not too big a deal. I can find these for like $30 on Amazon. It's the charger that would be a little more difficult, but I could just solder on some proper connectors and change this over to one of those trickle chargers style. And then this would actually probably be good to go that way. Now this battery, of course, not good to go. If I replace it and change the leads, then this will be good to go. That's all I'm saying. Now the spark plug's been inspected. It looks good. Carburetor's cleaned, reinstalled, new air filter. Pretty much all we need to do. Add fuel, prime it, and fire it up. Unfortunately, we had some pretty significant snowfalls. This old beast has been quite useful. Unfortunately, yesterday we got a bit of freezing rain as well, so the auger inside or the impeller inside had frozen up with the freezing rain. I didn't realize. Go to try it out, stops dead. I'm like, oh, what happened? So I tried giving it a little bit of auger throttle slowly, and that's when I could hear the belt squealing. So shut her down, grab a hammer, gave it a couple of little persuasion taps on the impeller, got it rolling free, and fired right up, no problem. But yeah, as you can see, we have gotten a little bit of snow. So bringing the mower out to give it a test, it'll have to wait for the time being. But I think that I'll be able to get it out as soon as I'm able to move a couple of these cars out of the way. So yeah, unfortunately, until then, I'll have to pause it here. Hopefully, I can get that done today. And if so, then you'll just see it with the same amount of snow. And if not, then, well, I guess that'll be it for this video for the time being. Until the spring for this video. And I guess in the spring, we'll give it a test. Oil change. That's if I can't get it outside to give it a test. All right, guys, we're outside. Light's getting a bit dim, so we got to be quick. Can't forget that. Forgotten spark plug wire. I'm going to use that fuel from the jar that I siphoned out the water. Pretty confident this should work. Pretty confident. I don't want to pour it all in case there's a little bit of water in the bottom. Okay, a few primes. Right, so let's try it. Well, that doesn't sound good. I don't think it's pulling the... Yeah, it's not pulling. There it goes. Interesting. I don't think it's actually priming. Or it's not releasing the bail completely. I'm going to go with not releasing the bail completely. So let's see why. Got a kink in it. why is this not pulling. That time it pulled. Made sure it did. Okay, so let's try it now. Nope, nothing. A few more primes. Well, let's see if I give it some spray, if that makes a difference. Yeah, it's getting pretty dark. Last chance to get this thing running. After this, I guess I'm going to have to run through the carb again. I'm going to give it a couple primes. I want to see. There, I want to see if any fuel comes up. Yep, fuel comes up, so it's priming. So let's try spraying a little bit of carb spray in there, see if that also helps. Let's see, then we'll know. So maybe it's a spark problem. Quite possible it's a spark problem. Yeah, I'm going to call a spark problem here. Let's see. Make 100% sure it's on right there. It's on. All right, so let's see. Let's try it again. Yeah, I would say that it definitely has a spark problem, but I'm going to call it here and expect a future video of this machine because I want to get another battery. Yeah, you can see the fuel there from where I've been pumping it. Let's get the air filter back on. So maybe it's flooded. I don't think so. I really don't think that it's flooded. I think it's just definitely got a spark problem. I couldn't find the impact and not used to using one hand. There. Right, so it is pretty dark and this fuel's going nowhere and it seems pretty good. Shouldn't have any more water in it. I did leave the cap open for a bit so that the tank would completely dry out. All right, guys. See you in the next one. I bet the starter works just fine. Let's see what happens.
All right, well, I wanted to check the spark plug, and good thing I did because it had one of these crappy gold-tipped spark plugs in there. Because we've had these plugs go bad from new to older ones. When people couldn't get their mower started. If you've got anything that's got these gold-tipped plugs in it, running or not, you might want to just change that plug.
This spark plug, this is the same exact kind of spark plug he's talking about. Let's pop it out and I'll show you. And there you go, just like Terrell was talking about. That Champion QC12YC with that golden tip. Maybe this is the whole problem after all, why that mower just wouldn't start up. Because this spark plug simply is no good. But I guess due diligence dictates that I try and see if this has spark first. Then we'll try a different spark plug. So let's give this a try again. We'll see if it's got spark. And then we'll go from there. Alright guys, let's crack into it. So I've clamped off the bail safety because this is a little sticky. I'm going to have to get some lube up in there. And I got the spark tester on it. I'm almost positive it's going to be that bloody spark plug. I don't think, I don't think it's lost spark. I think it's that spark plug. I mean, if Terrell says that it's quite likely the spark plug, then I'm going to believe it's the spark plug. Next possibility is compression. Maybe there's a valve hanging. That's always a possibility too. So let's pull it over a few times and we'll see if it's got spark. Okay, let me turn the light off and let's pull it over a couple times. So I'd say that's pretty definitive proof. We have spark, we ain't got no fire. The only thing I can think of why we don't have fire, because that spark plug's no good. So let's get that spark plug out of there, because I got a new one right here. It's a Champion RC12 YC. It's a higher quality replacement for this stupid plug. All right, let's swap it out. Okay, so let's get this offending plug out. Should only be in there hand tight. There it is. Right, so we got the offending plug out of there. Okay, I'm just going to open up the garage quickly and we'll try it out, see if it starts. If it starts, awesome. Then we know that the problem was 100% the spark plug. Then we'll go into the valve lash, we'll adjust that. Then we'll see about sourcing some kind of a replacement battery for this. Definitely got to fix the problem with this bail. Kind of frustrating that I had to tie it like this. I mean, yeah, I know I had the vice grips on before, but they slipped and it lost spark again because, well, yeah, the vice grip slipped. So yeah, this works just fine, but we'll try it out. If the machine fires up, I'll just pull the plug quickly. Gonna go open the garage and we'll try it out. Okay, garage is open. Spark plug wire removal tool. Give it a couple primes. And let's see if it'll fire. Hopefully it does. Nope, doesn't want to fire. Give it a couple more primes. Although we do know it's priming from the last video. There, I want to see if any fuel comes up. Yep, fuel comes up, so it's priming. Alright, let's try it again. I'm wondering if the flywheel key is sheared on this, but that's strange because this did work. Alright, I'm going to give it a spray of helper. A little bit of hamburger helper. And if it still doesn't fire, then we're going to go and start investigating a little bit further. Just pretty sure it has enough compression, I can feel it. Pull the air cover. 5/16 squirts. Give it a couple sprays. Where's the opening? Way over here. That should be enough. Right, so let's see. Do we have to go further? No, we do not. We do not have to go any further. We now know what the problem is. We have to reinvestigate the carburetor. Good stuff. All right, let's get that carburetor back off and give it a run through and see if we can get this thing running again. I'm glad the timing is not off, and I still want to also go through the valves. I just want to make sure that those valves are at the correct lash, and that way we don't have any future problems. But yeah, it looks like we have to go through that carburetor again, and hopefully we don't have to replace it, because I know these carburetors on these Briggs and Stratton models, these particular carbs, they are a little weak, unfortunately. All right, let's get further into this, I guess. Okay, so I'm curious if the starter works. So I've hooked up some jumper cables to the starter. I'm just going to connect it up to this battery. Let's see if the starter works. Positive. Let's see. I bet the starter works just fine. Let's see what happens. Try that again. Yep, I would say the starter works just fine. Perfect. So we're just going to get the carburetor off and try it out again. Then while the carburetor's in the ultrasonic, we can take a look at these valves and adjust the lash on them. I just hope that the gasket is okay on there and I don't have to replace it. That'll be frustrating. Yeah, so if we look all down here, it looks like the fuel's all leaked out. Let's see, is there any fuel in the tank? Nope, it's empty. It's leaked out. Awesome. Okay, so I guess the needle's not working. Or the gasket's shot and it's leaking out of the bowl. That's always possible too. Now we get the breather hose off the back, right here. There's a gasket just here on the back of the air cleaner. Right, now we've got the carburetor here. Let's see if we can get that off. I believe they're 10 mil. Yeah, they're 10 mil. You can also use Torx 30 on them. I believe these are 10 mil, or are they 3/8? Maybe they're 3/8. Let me check. Here's a 3/8. That's about the same fit as a 10 mil, so I don't think it makes much difference with this. Unless there's just a lot of slop in this. So here's a similar 10 mil. Now it's the same amount of slop. It's almost like they're identical sizes. Shots fired! All right, let's take off the fuel line. Still a little bit of fuel in there. Probably just what's stuck in the hose. So I'll just tuck it up. Which is weird, because if it was leaking out, then why would there still be fuel in the line? Very strange. Let me check the oil. Maybe it leaked all into the crankcase. No, that oil looks pretty good. Very thick and sticky, like it's 30 weight. And it doesn't smell like fuel. It smells like actually fresh oil. Didn't leak into the crankcase. Okay, we get it off this little bend. That's off the governor. And it's free.
How dare you?
Just spilled some fuel. Let's crack it open and clean it out. Find out why, or find out what's going on with it. Hey, look at that, guys. Look what I found. A red subscribe button. If you made it this far into the video, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up. Comment below. I love to read your comments, and I try to reply to as many of them as I can, especially the early ones. All right, guys, back to the video. Right. So a couple orders from Amazon came in, such as this battery charger, as well as a new battery. So I'll be cutting off the leads from the old battery so that this one can plug in properly. Then I'm going to have to make a minor modification to this by cutting off this lead for one for the battery charger itself, or I should say for the maintainer. This way, when I do sell this mower, they can maintain the battery so that they can start this mower using the key ignition, as opposed to sitting there trying to pull it over a bunch of times. I also picked up a carburetor repair kit. There's the part number if you're looking for it. Comes with some new gaskets. Comes with a bunch of bowl gaskets, which is great. One of the big reasons why I actually ordered this. Not so much for the bowl. I'm not too worried about the bowl. But then again, I do now have a brand new bowl for a Briggs and Stratton carburetor. So if one's really rotten, then I have one that's brand spanking new I can pop on. Now, the one gasket I'm really interested in is actually this one right here, this O-ring. Because that's the carburetor gasket where it goes onto the intake. I'm wondering if it's missing. Maybe that's why this thing's not running, because it's got a massive vacuum leak because it's not actually sealed against the intake. I'm going to have to double check that, because if that's the case, then it's a good thing I ordered this. Now on to this crazy thing. Let's see. Of course, then again, I mean, kind of seats up that way. Yeah, pretty sure it seats up. Maybe I had this also. Maybe I had this mounted incorrectly. Maybe if I had it mounted like that, Maybe it's supposed to be mounted like this? I don't know. I'm going to have to check. I'm definitely going to have to check. But either way, we'll clean this up a bit more, because clearly it needs a bit more of a cleaning anyway. It's filthy. So let's give it a bit more of a cleaning, and hopefully this way it comes out nice and sparkling instead. So before we crack into the carburetor, I had double checked the video from the previous episode that we worked on this, and I noticed something about the carburetor. The mounting block goes this way. There's no O-ring that goes here. I never took one off. And so this gasket goes right here. And you can tell because of the ridges formed in the gasket. So it goes right here, which then places right here against the carburetor. This could have been the whole problem entirely, but let's work through this and we'll go from there. Then there's a second gasket that goes behind, and it's all smooth. And so it just actually mounts up right here and then mounts up to the engine. So it may have been installer error that got it all screwed up. So it might be my fault, which it is what it is. I'll take full blame for it. But let's just make 100% sure, and let's work through the carburetor. So 1/2 inch, we take off the bowl. No, look, there's water in there. Aha. There's some water in there. That wouldn't have run. Wonder how water got in. I must not have cleaned out the entirety from the tank. So that makes sense. That makes perfect sense why it didn't run then. So let's get rid of that. I'll just use a rag to soak it up. Well, since we have the rebuild kit, we'll get rid of the gasket. I have a new one. So I'll put that with the bowl. New intake gasket for the intake, so we'll replace that. New adjustable jet. I don't think we need this, so I won't use this. And we did replace the seat, but there's a new needle. So I think we'll just stick with what we have for now. I think that should be good. We should just replace it with those couple of gaskets. Nothing, not a big deal. Just get the bowl nut out. There it is. It's also the main jet. So I'll get my trusty torch tip cleaners. I'll just pick out the tip here. All right, try the next size up. You just want it so it just fits. All right, we'll go one more size up. Oh no, that one doesn't fit, so perfect. So the other one cleaned it right out. Hopefully cleaned it right out. Next we'll clean out the side here. All right, that was too big. We'll go one size down. There we go. A little bit of crud in there. You don't want to push too hard because you don't actually want to take off any material of the actual jet. You just want to take out any crud. Looks a lot better. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Take out the pin. Now move the float and needle. Well, it came with a new needle, but I'm not sure. Do I really want to change it? It doesn't seem bad. I guess I can test it. The seat's fine. Let's try picking out some of these passages. That one's more of just a rod. The next one down has a little bit of teeth on the side. You can see about cleaning out any crud that's in there. Seems to be okay. Teeny tiny little jet here. I think that's my smallest one. That goes into that Welch plug there. I think that's about it. So let me run those through the ultrasonic. Looks like I had some jellies here. Gross. But yeah, let me run this through the ultrasonic, and then we'll rebuild it, put it back on the engine, assemble this on properly this time, take it outside and fire it up. This time it should fire up. But let's get this carburetor inside the ultrasonic and we'll go from there first. All right, see you shortly, guys. So I'm just going to cut this off. This is for the battery charger, and I'm going to solder this one on. So let's cut off this end. We're not going to need it anymore. Okay, so we'll get the two wires together. The first one. I'll just get a small bead of solder on here. And there we go. First one soldered. Dip it in some flux. And same thing. Twist them together. And there we go. That's done. Okay, now the heat shrink. There we go. Good soldered on connection. Heat shrink. I should keep it nice. Protected from the weather. Now it should be able to make a seamless connection with the battery maintainer. And there we go. Negative to negative, positive to positive, everything's good. Right, I'm going to cut the other connector and just crimp on some spade connectors for this, just so it holds onto there. All right, see you shortly. All right, might as well get this off. I already took the liberty taking the spark plug out off camera. 4 10mm bolts to take this off. That wasn't even tight. Not a big reveal. Oh, don't want to break this gasket. Let's just use the largest feeler gauge. Just slip it in to separate the gasket away. There we go. There. And we're clear. That's a lot of oil in there. Oh boy. A lot of oil in there. That's probably because I've been pulling it over a few times, so it's pumped it out. The gasket was saved. That's the most important part. Now we just need to rotate the engine over to top dead center, but let me wipe up this oil quickly. There, now just to find top dead center on this engine. Put a stick into the spark plug hole. I'll just reach under, slowly turn the blade. There. Let's say that's top dead center there. Yep. Both are loose. Now we'll check. Now we'll quickly check the clearance. It should be between 3 thou and 5 thou. So we'll start at 3. Yeah, 3 passes, no problem. Okay, so let's try at 5 thou. Yeah, 5 thou passes really easy as well. So let's try a little bit bigger. Try 8 thou. So on the intake, 8 thou doesn't fit, but on the exhaust, 8 thou passes no problem. All right, so let's check a bit more. Let's try going up to 11 thou. Let's try 11. Yeah, 11 fits. Just fits. It's actually, it fits really easy. All right. One more size. We'll try 12. Let's see, 12 thou. Yeah, 12 thou. It just fits. So the clearance is about 11 thou. This graphic here will tell the correct spec of what it should be. So I'm actually going to double check the correct spec because this one, the intake, seems fine. But the exhaust, that seems really loose. So let me double check and find out what's going on. So I'm just going to double check that exhaust valve. I'm going to rotate the engine over until one is open and then the other, and we'll double check that way just to make 100% sure. So let's rotate the engine over because I'm still reading between 4 and 6. Okay, the exhaust valve is closing, or I should say opening. There. Now let's check the intake valve. Let's start at 6 thou. Passes right through. Okay, so let's go up to 8 thou. And that seems to stick pretty good. So it's a little bit loose. It looks like it's set to around 7 thou. So we'll adjust the intake valve back down to about 5,000. Now let's do the exhaust valve. So let's rotate it around. There's the exhaust valve closing. Intake valve opening. Move back just a bit. There. The exhaust valve is open at its fullest. So we'll try again at the 11 thou where we were before and see if it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. So it looks like we have to tighten them both down to about 5 thou. It should be between 4 and 6 for both. So just this one back down to about 5 thou and this one down to 5 thou. Right, so what do we need to do that? Okay, so it looks like a 16 or 5/8. And I think that is Torx end or Allen. Let's try the Allen keys first. And then I'll have to find the right corresponding Torx bit if it's Torx. Nope, it's Allen head. And it looks like, okay, so it's a 1/8 inch or 3 mil. Okay, so let's loosen this nut off. There we go. So what I'll do, I'll snug this down to around 7 thousandths. So if I snug it down around 7 thousandths, then when I tighten it up and check it again, hopefully it should be around 5 thou. Hopefully. Worst case, it's around 4, which is within tolerance as well. Now I'll just tighten this up. There we go. Oh no, it's still loose. Is it? Or is it fine? Nope. Okay, so now we'll try 5 thou. And 6 thou. See how 6 thou fits. Right, tighten up the nut a little bit. Should snug it down. Yeah, that's perfect. 5 thou in. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Okay, now we'll do the same for the intake. And put down to 5 thou. Turn this over. Get the exhaust valve to open. Small bump for compression release. Okay, exhaust valve opening. There, now it's closing a little. Back it off. And let's double check. 7 thou. Let's try snugging this nut up a bit. There, snugged it up a bit. Now let's see. Is that going to be down around 5 thou? Good. What was it for 6 thou now? Yeah, 6 thou is tight. Perfect. All right, so those are done. Yeah, 4 thou fits perfect on the intake. No problem at all. So I'd say this is probably set to around between 4 and 5, and this is set around 5. So that should be good, but I'm just going to spin it around one more time, and we'll double check. Haven't set one of these before, so it's a learning curve for us all. Piston's coming up. There we go. Top dead center. I'll double check. Start at 7th thou. Nope. Nope. And now we'll go to 5th thou. See how 5th thou fits. No problem. And a little tight. So again, 4th thou on the intake, which is within top spec. There's 4th thou. No problem. Good. Okay, so that's set. Now we can close it up. Clean the oil off this gasket so I don't think there's an oil leak on it. And dump out the remnants of the oil, and we'll close it up. Sorry if this was a little haphazard. I haven't done one of these before. So, we learn together. This gets tightened down to 75 inch-pounds. Click. 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 Yep. Okay, so that's good. Very nice. Now I'll just spin it over by the starter just to make sure everything's good. Red and the black. Ah, nothing. But if I pull the handle, listen, no more crunching. And it actually works this time. I've lubed it all up and it moves very freely now. So let's try the starter. I'd say starter works just fine. But we already knew that. I just wanted to play around a little bit. So good. Everything's looking good with this little engine. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And there we go. We set the valve lash on this old beast. Now all we got to do is put the carburetor back on and then try it out. Oh yeah, I got to put the spark plug back in. That's okay. I'll do that off camera. I don't know how many times you guys need to see me putting in and taking out a spark plug. All right, guys, let's start getting that carburetor on. Now I know everybody's biggest question is, will it blend? I mean, will it try to start? All right, so pull the bail and we'll turn the key. Yeah, I think she's going to try to start. So I guess all we got to do is get it outside, get some fuel into it, and give it a test. But before we do that, I'm going to tilt it up, I'm going to pop the blade off, and I'm going to sharpen and balance it and get it back on. Plus, I see that there's some hardware missing, so I do want to replace that, such as this that holds the handlebar on. Now to make the opposite side matching. I don't believe this will fit on this. I don't think so. I believe they're a different thread pitch. Yep, they're a different thread pitch. Thought so. There we go. Different thread pitch. Oh, the zip tie's broken down there, that's why. That's fine, I can replace those zip ties. But yeah, that zip tie down there, unfortunately, it's broken off. So it's kind of floppy. Not a big deal. At least the handles are the same. That's the most important part. It's got both handles and they're matching. I'm not going to bother locking in the handlebars on the actual body itself, though. I'm only going to be starting it using the key. And even if I did use the rope, it's actually not that bad. It doesn't flop around. We'll get this outside in a few minutes and we'll try to get it started. Hopefully it starts right up, no problem. I guess we can turn the starter one more time. Just the battery charger. Alright, I guess let's get this little beast outside and try to get her started up. Okay, so I've got the mower upright. I never realized it, but it's actually one of these mowers that you can stand upright on its back. Scraped it all down from all the grass that was inside. It was pretty bad. And there it is, all down in there. Right down in the chute. And all over the ground. So I just got to sweep up this floor and get rid of all the debris that's all over the floor from the mower. But honestly, the deck looks like in pretty good shape. And the blade, other than a little bit rusty from sitting, it's got a very nice edge to it. I don't think there's any reason whatsoever to take this off to sharpen it because it's already got a really nice edge. And as for, let's see, is it level? I wonder. Let's see, I'll put a little scratch mark. I don't know. That blade, I think, is bent. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me get my tripod. Give me one sec. There, just to make sure 100% that it's not the crank that's bent. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it over with the key quickly, and that should give us a good result. The spark plug is not in this machine yet. I have not put it back in. So I'm going to hold it up. There we go. Now we'll know for sure if she's bent, but I really don't think so. I think it's just the blade. I think the blade is just bent. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the blade is bent, right? Like, look at that. I can't. It's, I don't feel comfortable bending the blade back if that's all it would take. I really don't feel comfortable doing that. So I'm just going to replace the blade. It's too bad because the edge is good on it. It's just, I guess they hit something that warped the blade. That's really unfortunate. The only other thing I want to do is I got to get the pressure washer out. I want to spray down the deck because I want to put a rust coating on it. I mean, it's not bad, but I would like to get a rust-proof coating on there. I mean, aside from the blade wobble and putting a new blade on, I mean, there's nothing special about putting a new blade on. You just take the bolt off, put the new blade on. You got to take the old blade off first, of course. And I think I actually have a Murray blade that would fit this. They're kind of the same, right? Like I have this one right here. So, and it is the same type of blade. It's a little worn down, but it's not warped. And it's actually well balanced. I just recently sharpened it. Just got a little bit of oil on it. We don't need to replace the blade now, because no big deal, to test out if the engine will start and run. Other than there being vibration, it's not really going to damage anything. It'll just have some vibration. So we can test it. We can make sure everything runs. We can make sure the self-drive feature works. And we can go from there. Let's put this down and take this outside and give it a run. Okay, we're outside, ready to get going. Found the original fuel cap. It had somehow fallen underneath, hiding under the engine. When I had tilted it up and laid it back down, sure enough, it fell out. But let's get some fuel in it and see what happens. I haven't put the air filter cover on yet because when I prime it, I want to make sure that fuel does prime first, and then we'll go from there. Pour in some of the good stuff. Should be enough to wet its whistle. I see fuel popping up. Okay, here goes. Electric start. Threw up the white flag already. Great. Okay, let's try it again. Electric start. Nothing. Let's try a bit more primes. Oh, I feel it priming now. Good stuff. All right, let's try it. Give it some help. Aha! Now she's running. Hey, let's get the air filter on. Two primes. Let's try it again. Doesn't sound good. Maybe the battery's done. Let's try giving it a pull start. Does it self-propel? Oh, does it ever? Woo! We'll take you for a ride. Wow! All right, let's check that self-propel. Okay, let's see how it goes. I'll give it a couple of primes. But why not? One. There. Okay. So let's try it. Try key start first. Beauty! Alright. Now the self-propel. So honestly, impressions, I like this mower. It's a fun little one. I like the key start. That's pretty cool. Now my kid's been wanting to try the key start. He's been wanting to start it with the electronic ignition for, well, or I should say the electric starter. He's been wanting to do it ever since he found out, oh, you fixed it. I said, yeah, I fixed it. So he tried it inside without the plug-in, so it turned over really easy. He thought it was really cool. But he wanted to try with some gas to see if it would run and start and all that. And I said, no. gotta wait for the video first. As soon as I take it out and start it up and everything's good, sure, go for it. You can fire it up and have a great time. So I know he's gonna want to come out and try it out for sure. And I'm gonna let him know that, yeah, come on out, give it a try. You know what? I actually have a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna give it one more start. This time no primes. I'm just gonna start it. Let's see what happens. Awesome. Everything works perfect. Key start and all. Hey guys. Beautifully. Key start too. That's the best part. It's key start. Like, come on. All right, guys. Catch you in the next one. Well, as you know, guys, always got to make sure spark plug off for safety.